My sister took my millionaire fiancé. 6 years later, at Mom's funeral, she froze at the sight of my husband. I'm Emily Parker, 38, and as I stood at my mother's funeral, a heavy dread settled in, waiting for my sister Stephanie to show up. 6 years since she took Nathan, my millionaire fiancé, the man I envisioned my future with. They vanished from my life, leaving an ache that lingers still. As they entered, Stephanie's diamond ring glinted in the light, her smug smile cutting through the air. A surprising calm washed over me. Unbeknownst to her, a life-altering encounter awaited. Before I reveal the moment my sister's face drained of color at the sight of my husband, tell me where you're tuning in from, and don't forget to subscribe to follow my journey. Margaret Parker, my mother, was the heartbeat of our family, binding us in love and strength. In a humble suburban home near Boston, she embodied strength and dignity, teaching me their true meaning. Our bond was unique, intensifying with each passing year. After moving to my downtown Boston apartment and climbing the marketing ladder, I still reached out to her nearly every day. She was my rock, my guiding light, and my unwavering support. Her stage 4 pancreatic cancer diagnosis shattered my world just 8 months ago. Even with relentless treatments, we felt the clock ticking. Mother confronted her diagnosis with stunning strength, prioritizing her family's needs over her own pain. In her last weeks, serenity enveloped her, cradled by the warmth of family in the home that held our memories. She faded, fingers entwined with mine, urging me to seek solace in my existence. 6 years ago, at 32, my life appeared flawless, a picture of perfection. I had it all: career, friends, a beautiful apartment, but an emptiness lingered. I toiled through 60-hour weeks, dating here and there, yet nothing ever truly connected. At a charity gala, I crossed paths with Michael Reed, thanks to my college friend Jessica Brown. Nathan radiated charm, his perfect smile and commanding presence electrifying the atmosphere. At 36, he was a tech millionaire, a success story that captivated the world. We clicked instantly. Our bond ignited through art, adventure, and dreams that soared. After our first date at a stunning restaurant by the harbor, I called my mother breathless and told her I'd found someone extraordinary. Our relationship ignited with breathtaking speed. Weekend escapes to Martha's Vineyard, box seats at the symphony, and candlelit dinners turned into our cherished ritual. Nathan's kindness shone through in every gesture, each gift a piece of his heart, every date a carefully crafted memory. After 18 months, on a secluded yacht in Boston Harbor, Nathan knelt, revealing a 5-carat diamond ring, and proposed. I agreed instantly. My parents were ecstatic, my mother instantly lost in dreams of the ideal wedding. Nathan had the means to fulfill every wedding fantasy, and Margaret Parker urged us to embrace it all without restraint. And then there was Stephanie, my younger sister. Just 2 years my junior, our bond was a tangled web of emotions as we navigated childhood together. We were inseparable as kids, bound by rivalry and love.
Stéphanie cravait des vritti ni possessed. My toys, my friends, my spotlight.
Every success I claimed ignited her need to outdo me. Mother fought for harmony, carving out moments just for each of us. In spite of everything we've been through, I picked Stephanie to stand by my side as my maid of honor. Mother claimed it would unite us, and I yearned to trust that as grown-ups, we had outgrown petty envy. At the family dinner, Stephanie showered Nathan with compliments, her admiration palpable. I saw her fingers brush against his arm, laughter spilling from her lips, but I brushed it off as just Stephanie being her enchanting self. Our engagement party unfolded in the warmth of my parents' colonial home.
Stéphanie assisted modeur, draping fairy lights in the backyard and arranging flowers with care.
As the night unfolded, I noticed Stephanie's gaze fixed on Nathan from afar. But when our eyes locked, she flashed a quick smile and lifted her glass toward me. As the night wore on and guests departed, Mother drew me into the kitchen, her expression heavy with unspoken words.
Rebecca.
Dear, I see Stephanie is quite smitten with Nathan, she said softly, as she packed the leftover appetizers with trembling hands. She's only being friendly, Mom, I said, scrubbing the champagne flutes in the sink. Eyes.
You post something chikové.
Lips to her cheek, whispering that all was well.
Know it, without adoub. Was so mistaken.
Months before our wedding, I sensed something shifting in Nathan. Working late, frequently responding to messages at strange hours, claiming it was due to international clients. Nights slipped away, swallowed by urgent meetings. Moments together, he was always elsewhere, glued to his phone, his focus slipping through the
Crack of our conversation.
Was alarming to hear him tear apart the very things he once cherished about me.
Silence, drawing all eyes to me.
Blue dress he once loved now left me feeling faded and empty.
Felt like a burden, the light from my bedtime reading piercing the key, stealing his sleep.
One laced with urgent questions about the wedding. Big sister, she'd whisper, while mother took charge of the planning. Vendor meetings I had to miss because of work. Thursday night, Nathan and I dined at a chic Italian spot in the heart of downtown. Gaze flickered away, his replies to my work tales reduced to mere words. Fifth buzz of his phone, I snapped. Lightness into my voice, though irritation bubbled beneath the surface. Phone onto the table. Tension builds before the big reveal. Weak, I caught a whiff of strange perfume on Nathan's collar while folding laundry. Fragrance was overwhelming, a stark contrast to my delicate choice. Entire day in meetings with a potential investor, Rebecca Mills, whose overpowering perfume lingered in the air, and who had embraced him in farewell. Explanation felt convincing. Trust him. Reached out to Allison, pouring out my worries over coffee the next morning.
Finger trembling around the latte cup.
I clashed relentlessly in the month leading up to our wedding, and now here we are, 5 years into our marriage. Knot in my stomach tightened, refusing to let go. During our weekly lunch, Mother saw the storm of anxiety brewing within me. Fingers brushing against mine across the table.
Something deeper?
Smile, consumed by the final details. Began to put in more effort, realizing I might have been overlooking Nathan all along. Spa day, slipped into new lingerie, and crafted his favorite dishes. Away.
Fever pitch.
Morning, he called, urgency lacing his voice. An unexpected meeting with investors awaited. Let Stephanie join you, he urged. I like. As I ended the call, a wave of nausea washed over me. How could my sister know my fiancé's cake preferences better than I do? I couldn't refuse her invitation to join me. The following day, while cleaning Nathan's car for the dinner party, I discovered an earring trapped between the passenger seat and the center console. A silver earring, glinting with a tiny sapphire, Stephanie's, unmistakably. My sister wore those earrings to my engagement party, a precious gift from our grandmother. As I revealed the earring to Nathan that evening, his expression stayed eerily calm. Your sister must have left it in my car when I took her to the florist last week, he said, his voice steady but eyes betraying a hint of tension. She spoke of an earring lost, a small piece of her world gone. You never mentioned you took Stephanie to the florist, I said, my voice trembling. Did I not? I must have forgotten. It didn't matter. When I called Stephanie, her words echoed his exactly. So flawlessly. What a relief. I can't find that earring anywhere. Nathan stepped up, driving me while my car lay helpless in the shop. Sleep eluded me that night. My mind is a whirlwind of thoughts. Did they practice their tale? Was I just imagining things? Stress consumed me, my weight plummeted, and shadows gathered beneath my eyes. I began therapy, keeping it a secret from Nathan. 3 weeks before the wedding, Nathan dropped a bombshell. He wanted to postpone. Rebecca, I'm really worried about you.
You veux changer.
I can feel it. Perhaps we're moving too fast. I collapsed, pleading for answers. What was wrong? What had I done? How could I make it right? He embraced me, whispering that all was well, yet his eyes betrayed a haunting emptiness. At 3 a.m., I awoke to the chilling emptiness of Nathan's side of the bed. His whispered voice drifted from the guest bedroom, echoing in the hallway. "Not now. Please. She will listen. I get it, I really do. It won't be long, I swear." The following day, I planned a surprise for Nathan, lunch at his office. As I stepped out of my apartment, my father Robert Parker called.
Rebecca, are you taking care of yourself?
"Your mother worries you've shed too many pounds." "We're worried. I'm okay. Gone. Exceptional."
Just the nerve before forever.
I'm on my way to deliver lunch to Nathan. Excellent. That boy had better treat my daughter like royalty. If only he understood. The security guard at Nathan's building spotted me, a smile breaking across his face as he waved me through. As the elevator climbed to the 12th floor, I caught my reflection in the mirror, desperately attempting to erase the worry etched between my brows. In my hand, the lunch bag held Nathan's beloved sandwich from the deli, a small token of care that spoke volumes. As I entered the reception area, Sarah Lee, Nathan's secretary, glanced up from her screen, her eyes filled with shock. "Rebecca, your arrival is a surprise." Her eyes flicked to Nathan's shut office door, then snapped back to me. "Nathan's in a meeting, can't talk now." "It's fine," I declared, raising the lunch bag. "Hi. I just delivered his lunch. I'll wait, no matter how long it takes." Sarah Lee rose abruptly, her steps echoing my journey. "He explicitly requested solitude. Maybe I should tell him you're here." Her anxious demeanor ignited my doubts. "Is he all alone in there, Sarah Lee?" Her pause revealed it all. Without waiting for her reply, I brushed by and flung Nathan's office door wide open. The scene seared into my mind, unforgettably vivid. Nathan pressed against his desk, hands gripping my sister's waist, her arms encircling his neck, their lips entwined in a fervent kiss. They were oblivious to my presence, leaving me with agonizing moments to take in every detail. Stephanie's skirt rode high, Nathan's tie hung loose, their embrace heavy with the weight of shared memories. As the door clicked shut, they recoiled, three faces caught in a moment of disbelief. Rebecca watched as Nathan regained his composure, adjusting his tie with a tense resolve.
"This isn't what you think."
Stephanie didn't bother with such a flimsy deception. She raised her chin, a fierce spark igniting in her eyes. This was never in the plan. It happened in an instant. Surprisingly, a wave of calm enveloped me. "How much longer?" Nathan's eyes flicked to Stephanie, then snapped back to me. "Rebecca, we need to talk about this alone." "Why?" "Brief." I held my voice firm. 4 months, Stephanie replied. Ever since that night of promises. 4 months, it lingered.
Almost half of our connection.
As I picked out wedding invitations and selected floral arrangements, they were plotting against me. Nathan stepped back from his desk, a barrier forming as tension crackled in the air, like the calm before a storm. "This wasn't my intention, Rebecca. Feelings can shift in an instant. I plan to share it later."
After everything?
What comes next after the vows? What comes next after our honeymoon? I was searching for the perfect moment. His voice flowed with a practiced smoothness, honed for the toughest client meetings. The lunch bag slipped from my grasp.
"You betrayed my trust."
"All of you." Stephanie's discomfort was palpable.
"It happened, Becca."
We battled against it.
"Never call me Becca."
The childhood nickname pierced like a wound, raw and unhealed. For 4 months, nothing happens at all. Choices were made. Each whispered call hides a world of emotion. Each deception. Each glance held a truth, a silent acknowledgement of your actions. Nathan's finger hovered over the intercom button, then pressed down hard.
"Sarah Lee, step inside."
Moments later, Sarah Lee emerged, deliberately steering clear of my eyes.
"Take Rebecca away, please."
Her heart aches.
"I'm leaving on my own term."
I spoke, my dignity clinging on while my insides lay in ruins.
You're perfect for one another. In the elevator, tears broke free at last.
By the time I reached my car, each sob stole my breath away.
The drive home is a fleeting shadow in my mind.
All I recall is calling my mother from the bathroom floor, tears blurring my words, a jumbled mess of despair. Mom and Dad rushed in, their emergency key turning the lock when I couldn't face the door. In her embrace, I poured out my soul, every secret laid bare.
Father strode through the living room, his face flushing deeper with every word.
"I'll kill him," he whispered, clutching his heart. Both of them, entwined in fate.
Robert Parker, Mother warned, her fury mirroring the tension in the air, your blood pressure.
Days blurred, each one steeped in agony. Mother dialed vendors to end the wedding plans, while father managed the money matters. Returning the engagement ring to Nathan's apartment, I left it with the doorman, unable to face him again. Stephanie's belongings were already there, a stark reminder of her presence. Nearly all her clothes remained. Family photos lined the shelves, echoes of memories that once belonged to me. Nathan's email about splitting our assets was starkly efficient, noting that Stephanie had assisted him in cataloging my remaining possessions.
The betrayal cut deeper than he ever knew.
I discovered, through mutual friends, that they met in secret while I was away on business or working late. Stephanie had chased him with intent, crafting reasons to be alone with him, sending messages and images in my absence. The scandal erupted, tearing through our social circle like wildfire. Some friends rallied around me, while others chose Nathan, drawn by his power in the business world. Many saw the sparks between Nathan and Stephanie but chose to stay out of it. Their cowardice cut deep, a wound as raw as the betrayal itself. In those shadowy months, Mother was my only hope. She delivered meals when I was too broken to eat, heard my cries, and held vigil through the darkest nights of solitude. She made countless attempts to bridge the gap between Stephanie and me, bringing us together for family dinners that always spiraled into heavy silence or fierce confrontations. At that dinner, Stephanie erupted when I wouldn't hand her the salt. "You always had the first pick, Rebecca.
Everything hung in the balance.
This time, I beat you to it." My fiancé was never a trophy, I shot back, my voice trembling. He was the one I loved, the one I trusted completely. Mother paused, her fork suspended in mid-air. "Olivia Davis, you need to apologize to your sister, now." "Why?" "Truthfully, Nathan picked me. He loves me, finally." I stood, the napkin crumpled on my plate. "Going like this, Mom." Final one with Stephanie by our side. Weight of his daughter's conflict, demanding urgent medication changes and more frequent doctor visits. Eyes etched with deepening lines, fought fiercely to keep her family intact. Months after Nathan and Stephanie's betrayal, I spiraled into despair. Therapist revealed the weight of depression and suggested medication as a lifeline. Focus slipped away, culminating in a catastrophic presentation where I shattered into tears, losing a vital client. Boss recommended a leave, but I realized that remaining in Boston, with memories haunting every street, would only deepen my pain. Chance when the marketing director role in our Chicago branch became available. Interview unfolded with unexpected success. My longing for change may have masked itself as genuine excitement. 2 weeks passed, and the offer arrived. With tender hands, Mother wrapped my memories in tissue, each photo a fragile echo of the past. As we sifted through my things, choosing what to keep and what to give away, she finally addressed the unspoken tension that lingered between us.
"Is there a chance you'll forgive Stephanie one day?"
she inquired, sealing the box with a swift motion of packing tape. I kept folding sweaters, my gaze fixed on the fabric, lost in thought. "I just don't know, Mom. Not right now."
"Perhaps never."
"Forgiveness isn't about their worthiness," she whispered. "It's about liberation."
"I am breaking free."
"I'm heading to Chicago." Mother sat close, her hands enveloping mine, a silent connection charged with unspoken words. Fleeing won't mend your wounds, darling. My eyes brimmed with tears. Space is essential for my healing to start.
Do you grasp that?
She nodded, enveloping me in a fierce embrace.
Promise me you'll call.
Promise me you won't close the door on us entirely. I swear it. Parting with my parents hit me harder than I ever expected. Father's embrace lingered, his voice thick with unspoken feelings. Prove them wrong, kiddo. Craft a life so extraordinary, they'll drown in their remorse. Loneliness and doubt consumed my first weeks in Chicago. My studio apartment was cold and alien. I toiled endlessly, escaping the silence of empty rooms, devouring takeout at my desk, collapsing into bed, utterly drained each night. Then the news arrived, plunging the knife deeper into the wound. Mother called one Sunday morning, her voice trembling with unease. Rebecca, I need you to hear this from me, not through social media.
Stéphanie N. Nathan ties knot yesterday. Attention of Boston Magazine's Society page.
Odds of his small operation.
Night shattered me. Darkness, and die choses my pass. Joy. No more control. This ends now.
My boss saw the shift, entrusting me with bigger clients. I became known for my creativity and commitment, gaining respect in my new office. Laura Burton, our HR director, became my first true friend in Chicago when she invited me to her book club. She opened doors to new connections, weaving a fragile web of friendship. I always turned her down, the fear of romantic vulnerability gripping me tightly. Found myself at a technology conference in San Francisco, representing our company. Second evening, I found myself at a business dinner with potential clients, sitting beside Daniel Grant, a tech investor and entrepreneur fresh from Seattle. From Nathan in every possible way. Words ignited a fire, revealing deep passion without a hint of arrogance. For 3 months, Zachary and I kept our connection alive, each moment charged with unspoken tension. He sent clients my way, and I opened doors to my Chicago network for him. Madison caught sight of our regular work lunches, her eyebrow arching in curiosity. He feels something for you, Rebecca, beyond just work.
Oui, nothing.
To dinner at a place far from the office.
Tout cancellation, twist.
Yet, I pushed myself to go. Minutes in, as we shared our favorite books, panic surged through me, overwhelming and relentless. Hands trembled, breath caught in my throat, and tears threatened to spill. Then, feeling embarrassed or annoyed, Zachary settled next to me, his voice steady as he helped my breathing steady. Pressure, no questions asked. Following day, a bouquet appeared at my desk, accompanied by a note. Wish for your healing, free from pressure or expectations. Evening, I called him, pouring out my heart about Nathan and Stephanie. Word then unveiled his own tale of anguish, a marriage shattered when his wife chose his business partner, claiming half of their shared empire in the fallout. Scars remain where trust once thrived, he whispered. Those who truly matter will grasp that healing is a winding journey. In the months that followed, we forged a bond of friendship, laying the groundwork for something deeper than I could offer, honoring my limits while staying unwaveringly by my side.
Knew how to guide me back to calm.
First time since Nathan, a flicker of hope ignited within. Corner office, a view of the river, as I stepped into the role of senior marketing director. Circle of friends grew, reaching beyond Madison to embrace a few cherished confidants. Astonishment, I had plunged headfirst into love with Zachary. Every small, deliberate gesture, starkly contrasting Nathan's showy pursuit. He recalled the little things, my love for oat milk and coffee, the true crime podcasts that captivated me. He honored my freedom, standing by me with steadfast loyalty. He accepted me completely, never measuring me against others or seeking to alter who I am. During her brief visit from Portland, I encountered Zachary's sister, Emma Grant. We clicked instantly, trading numbers and forging a bond that was ours alone, separate from Zachary. She shared tales of their Seattle childhood, revealing the boy who transformed into the man I was falling for. Bond with my parents lingered, stretched thin across the miles.
Mention of Stéphanie.
Coles, his rough voice melting as he expressed pride in my new beginning. Went twice that year, carefully choosing my visits for when Stephanie and Nathan were gone. Media, their marriage seemed flawless, with Stephanie sharing snapshots of lavish getaways and glamorous charity events. Grand house in Beacon Hill, tearing it apart to rebuild it anew. You say to her when she calls? Pasta sauce if you were okay, if you were crafting a new life. Heavy sigh. She falls silent at the mention of your name. In Chicago, my therapy deepened. My new therapist guided me through the raw pain of betrayal, helping me forge stronger, healthier connections. I discovered how to identify and express my boundaries with clarity. Nightmares of Nathan and Stephanie slipped away, one agonizing moment at a time. Weekend in Michigan's enchanting wine country. A quaint bed and breakfast, embraced by vineyards, savoring wine in the afternoons and witnessing the sun dip below Lake Michigan in the evenings. First time in years, I felt utterly alive and joyful, free from the weight of past betrayal. Final night, we strolled through a garden bursting with early summer blossoms at the Chicago Botanic Garden. Zachary paused beneath a trellis draped in climbing roses.
Antitli.
Past year, your presence has been my most precious treasure. Ring box in hand, a fleeting panic ignited within him.
Shadow over this moment. Gaz, he found nothing bureau sincerity and deep love.
I'm not looking for an answer today, he said, sensing my uncertainty. Whenever you're ready, tomorrow or next year, I'll be here for you. Tears welled up, but not from fear or pain. Yes, I whispered, I'm ready now. The ring was a stark contrast to the flashy diamond Nathan had bestowed upon me. An emerald flanked by tiny diamonds, quietly beautiful, much like what we share. That night, I reached out to my parents, heart racing with the news.
Mother wept with joy.
He's truly amazing, my love. When will we finally see him? It will be here, I swear. Coming fast. We envisioned an intimate wedding, just 30 souls gathered in a historic Chicago gem. At my mother's insistence, I reached out to Stephanie, hoping for healing rather than expecting her to show up. Her reply arrived in an email, sharp and distant.
Congratulations on your beautiful engagement.
Regrettably, Nathan and I are already tied up that day.
Wishing you all the best, Red.
Mother felt the sting of disappointment, yet it was a familiar ache. Allow her the space, Rebecca.
Significant shift from your past.
Wedding day dawned, a whirlwind of intimacy and joy, surrounded by my parents, new friends, and Zachary's family. I'll, his voice low, I haven't seen you this happy in years, kiddo. Cherish that love is a fierce yet delicate force, needing nurturing and dedication each day. Honor the trust you've placed in me, fully aware of its value and the struggle it took to earn it.
Life, transforming a brownstone into orchard dream.
Ranks, ultimately reaching the vice president role.
Startup with fierce determination.
Clashed fiercely in the angel investing arena 7 years ago.
Foster chose the perfect startup. Reynolds chose the rival.
Foster's choice was snatched up for millions. Reynolds fell into despair. That night, I confronted Zachary about the bond. Eventually, I was going to tell you, he confessed. From the moment we crossed paths at that conference, I recognized you. It's not about the events, but the fact that you were promised to Reynolds. Why were your lips sealed? I longed for you to see me, not as a shadow of your history, but as my own person. I felt nothing. The cosmic symmetry resonated deeply, an undeniable truth. 2 years into our marriage, we embarked on the journey to create life. Months dragged on, filled with frustration and heartache, as fertility specialists became a necessity and conversations turned heavy. Amidst heartbreak and hospital visits, Zachary stood firm, cradling my sorrow and whispering that family wears many faces.
The call shattered everything, Mauderesse cancer diagnosie.
Zachary and I rushed to Boston, confronting oncologists and guiding my parents through the maze of treatment choices. Mother wore a mask of courage, but the cancer was relentless, its grip tightening with every passing moment. I left my job to care for her, returning to the home of my youth.
Zachary comme every weekend, à Lifeline forme en Mailling-Fater.
In her last days, Mother and I shared profound moments about life, love, and family. One evening, while I arranged her pillows, she suddenly mentioned Stephanie. "I wish you girls could find peace with each other," she said, her voice trembling yet resolute.
Sisters should never be so far apart.
"I understand, Mom," I said, fighting the tears that threatened to spill.
Promise me you'll fight, Rebecca.
"Not for her, but for you. And perhaps a touch for your dear mother," I vowed, uncertain of my strength, yet desperate to grant her solace. Mother slipped away quietly 3 days later, Zachary, father, and I holding vigil at her side. I reached out to Stephanie right away, our first real connection in years. "Mom's gone," I whispered when she picked up.
She gasped, silence anging et vie in the air.
"I'll be there in an hour," she finally said, her voice trembling. We met at our parents' house, a quick, tense hug before we shifted our focus to father and the funeral plans. The true challenge awaited at the funeral, where past wounds and fury would clash with raw sorrow and mother's last desire. The morning of mother's funeral arrived, shrouded in gray drizzle, mirroring the heavy hearts gathered. In my childhood bedroom, I faced the mirror, adjusting my black dress, heart racing as I braced for the day ahead. Zachary emerged from the shadows, striking in his dark suit, his hands resting softly on my shoulders. "I'm right beside you today," he said, locking his gaze with mine in the mirror. Whatever unfolds, father remained at the kitchen table, eyes fixed on his cold coffee, lost in thought. Grief had carved him out, his once proud stature now bent and broken. At 72, he looked a decade older since mother's diagnosis. "Are you set, Dad?" I whispered, my fingers brushing against his shoulder. He nodded, rising with a heavy heart. Margaret Parker believed funerals served the living, not the dead.
I get it now.
We arrived to find the funeral home packed with family and friends, their grief palpable in the air. I clung to father, offering hollow smiles and receiving condolences from strangers whose faces blurred into the background.
Cousin from California, à collège Romat of my mother, neighbor woven into my parents, four décades tapestry.
"You resemble Margaret Parker at your age," my great-aunt Dorothy Wilson murmured, her hand gently brushing my cheek. "She would admire the strength of the woman you've become."
How have you been, my dear? Un qui read my motheress friand Ellen White.
"Margaret Parker said you left."
Chicago, was it? A city of shadow and whisper.
"Yes, nearly 5 years now," I said, leaving out the sting of my sister's betrayal that had driven me here. Leading father to his seat in the front row, with Zachary beside him, a hush fell over the crowd. As Stephanie and Nathan walked in, their presence ignited a flurry of whispers and turned heads. Stephanie donned a sleek black dress that clung to her curves, diamond earrings glinting like stars in the night. Nathan shifted uneasily in his impeccably fitted suit, his arm wrapped around my sister's waist, a silent promise of solidarity. Her left hand lay heavily on her purse, the massive diamond engagement ring and wedding band glaringly obvious. Father tensed next to me. "Robert Parker, just breathe," I urged, fear gripping my heart for his. They pressed on, pausing to exchange words with different attendees. I fixed my gaze ahead, the large photo of mother beside her closed casket anchoring me, her warm smile cutting through my anxiety. At last, they arrived at the front. Stephanie wrapped her arms around father, his embrace rigid and unyielding. Nathan extended his hand, met with nothing but a brief, cold nod. "Rebecca," Stephanie said, her gaze piercing, leaving me unsettled. "So much time has passed." "Yes," I replied, my voice barely a whisper, afraid of what else might spill out. Nathan's nod was hesitant, heavy with unspoken words.
My attache for you. Zachary walked away to talk to the funeral director, leaving me alone with them for a brief, heavy moment. Stephanie grasped the moment.
We need to talk, she whispered, nodding toward the side room. Despite my instincts, I trailed behind her, desperate to sidestep chaos at Mother's funeral. The cramped space held just a handful of chairs and fleeting, intimate memories.
Stephanie shut the door, sealing us in.
Up close, I saw the delicate lines framing her eyes, a truth her costly makeup couldn't hide. Grief has a way of doing that, I said, my voice void of warmth. She twisted her ring, a silent storm brewing within her. Nathan and I just acquired a summer house on Cape Cod, 8 bedrooms, with private beach access. It feels surreal. I stayed quiet, questioning why she needed to reveal this. We're thinking about starting a family soon, she said, her voice trembling with hope. Nathan's company just snatched up 2 startups, and now the 3rd floor is transforming into a nursery. Congratulations, I said, my voice flat and empty. Is there a particular detail about the funeral arrangements you wish to address? Her smile sliced through the air. I wanted to share how incredibly well we're doing. Alone at 38, how heartbreaking. I have the man, the cash, and the castle. The familiar pain ignited, then faded away. 6 years ago, her words would have shattered my world. Today, they appeared utterly lost and yearning.
A true smile broke across my face. Have you met my husband?
Her expression shattered.
Partner? Zachary.
I called out, and there he was, waiting just beyond the door. Join me to meet my sister. Zachary stepped into the room, and Nathan emerged from the shadows, his gaze fixed on us, a silent witness to our exchange. As their eyes locked, Nathan's face went pale. Foster, he said, his bravado shattering.
Reynolds.
Zachary's tone was detached, yet sharp.
7 years, right?
Ever since Macintosh chose Initech over your client CompuServe, hasn't it been a wild ride? Nathan's throat tightened. Are you both married?
2 incredible years, he whispered, intertwining my finger with Zachary's. Daniel Grant. Stephanie échoued, deliberate, à une Foster investment.
Exactly the same, Zachary responded. Rebecca and I crossed paths at a tech conference in San Francisco. Nathan fought to regain his composure. Foster, we need to reconnect soon. I've been wanting to connect about possible collaborations. Zachary replied, his tone pleasant yet resolute, my schedule's quite full. Feel free to reach out to my office if you wish. The funeral director stepped in, signaling that the service was about to start. Whispers trailed us as we entered the main room, the bond between Zachary and Nathan unmistakably recognized in the business world. As we settled in, Father suddenly gripped his chest, agony twisting his features. Dad! I cried, as Zachary rushed to get help. Father was moved to a private room. The funeral postponed, emotions raw. A doctor in the crowd assessed him, concluding it was probably stress, not another heart attack. Stephanie trailed behind, worry etched across her features. Is he all right? Do we need to call for help? Her voice trembled. He's stable, the doctor says. I responded, taken aback by her honesty, completely engulfed. For 20 agonizing minutes, we sat in heavy silence, bound only by our shared worry for Dad. As he pushed forward with the service, we found ourselves back in the main room, the fleeting crisis forging an unanticipated bond. The funeral was stunning, yet filled with sorrow. I spoke of my mother's boundless kindness, her fierce strength, and the unwavering love that enveloped our family. As Stephanie stood to speak, her voice trembled and faltered, tears spilling forth after just a few words. I rushed to her side, my hand pressing gently against her back, a silent promise of support.
It's all right, he murmured. Embrasse the moment.
She steadied herself, delivering a heartfelt tribute to our mother, weaving childhood tales that stirred both tears and soft laughter among those present. In the cemetery, rain whispered as we said our final goodbye to Mother. Nathan stood alone, glancing at his watch, anxiety etched on his face. Stephanie stood by her father's side, her earlier confidence shattered by raw sorrow. The reception at my parents' house buzzed with well-wishers, each casserole a token of love, each memory a bittersweet echo. Nathan gulped his drink, unease radiating from him while his associates animatedly chatted with Zachary. I caught snippets about Nathan's company faltering with recent acquisitions, and I couldn't help but think Stephanie's bragging masked deeper financial woes. All day, I held my head high, just as mother would have wanted. I supported father and cherished her memory, refusing to let past hurts resurface. As the guests left, I noticed Stephanie's gaze from across the room, her expression a mystery, yet tinged with a newfound softness. The day after the funeral, Zachary faced the daunting task of returning to Chicago for a crucial board meeting.
Will you really be all right if you leave?
He asked, shoving clothes into his overnight bag. I'm able to change the schedule. Dad struggles with mom's belongings. I offered my support.
Il need juste a little more time here. I'll be okay.
After saying goodbye to Zachary at the airport, I went back to my parents' house. There I found my father in my mother's garden, a photo album resting on his lap. He pointed out her careful labels, each word a whisper of her presence beneath the photos. Promised that one day, we'd understand the truth behind each face. That afternoon, I faced the heart-wrenching task of sifting through my mother's closet. Every dress whispered stories, the blue for my graduation, the floral for brunches, the elegant gray for my engagement. I spoke to her while I worked, sharing my life in Chicago, my job, and my joy with Zachary. I found a journal, soft leather whispering secrets, tucked away in her bedside drawer. Within, Mother chronicled her thoughts, each entry a glimpse into a decade of unspoken emotions. Her daughters, her hopes for us to mend, her sorrow over the divide, these were the echoes of her heart. The last note, written merely 2 weeks before her passing, confessed, my deepest sorrow is parting with my daughters still apart. Margaret Parker was the one who mended everything, yet this was beyond my reach. I hope they reunite, against all odds. The doorbell chimed, cutting through my tears. Through the front window, I spotted Stephanie, solitary on the porch, Nathan's car absent from the driveway. Father left for dinner at his brother's, leaving me alone with my sister. I opened the door, heart racing, bracing for the unknown.
She whispered, her voice barely breaking the silence.
May I enter?
In the kitchen, he brewed coffee à Stéphanie linger in silence at the table.
Without Nathan, she seemed smaller, more vulnerable, stripped of her facade.
Nathan.
Where is he? Home. Alone. He remains oblivious to presence. Mug tightly, her lips never touching the rim. Told him I needed distance after the funeral. Silence loomed, a chasm of unspoken words that felt tangible, suffocating. Sorry about yesterday, she finally whispered. Words in that funeral home were harsh, utterly out of place. Apology, yet hesitated to embrace it fully. Found Mom's journal, she kept writing. Night, Dad revealed it to me.
Make peace before the end.
Well, I said. Reconciliation demands more than mere closeness, Stephanie.
It de mon trousse.
She gazed upward, tears brimming in her eyes.
Do you crave the truth? Here lies the truth.
I'm MS. Rebel Rebecca, and I've been this way for as long as I can remember. The dam shattered, and words flooded forth through tears. Nathan transformed after their wedding, turning into a figure of control and relentless criticism. His business teetered on the brink, fighting for survival year after year. Every new acquisition, a desperate bid to salvage a sinking ship, the houses, the cars, the vacations, all drowning in a sea of mounting debt. Their marriage, a fragile illusion, held together by ambition and the weight of appearances. He tracks my every purchase, inspects my phone, interrogates my every step, she confessed.
The Nathan you once knew is gone forever.
Perhaps he never truly did.
What is the reason to linger?
I pleaded. Shame, she replied without hesitation. How can I confess that my actions shattered our family for a mere illusion?
And then commet ce prénup.
I depart empty-handed. I slid mother's journal over the table, devouring her final words. As Stephanie read, tears streamed down her face. Finally, she lifted her gaze, her face a canvas of raw emotion. She understood, piercing through all facades. Mom always knew. I said yes. For years, I've loathed myself, Stephanie whispered. Each time Mom spoke your name, each triumph she celebrated, I felt the crushing burden of my own failures. I'm done with him, Rebecca. I've been quietly seeking legal advice. My emotions tangled, a fierce blend of vindication and surprising compassion. The sister who had inflicted so much hurt on me was now facing a fate I wouldn't wish on my worst enemy. I don't expect forgiveness, she continued. I know I don't deserve this, but you need to hear the truth before I destroy everything once more. We sifted through Mother's things, each item a bittersweet echo of laughter and tears. Stephanie remembered our mother guiding us through cookie baking, never blending the batches, chocolate chip for me, sugar cookies for Stephanie. Way she slipped notes into our lunch boxes.
Smile breaking through a veil of tears.
Day brought a new message, and I nodded in response.
Sam word twist.
Come swiftly, the wounds ran too deep for quick mending.
Mother's love, a delicate bridge spanning years of pain.
What will you choose? Divorce awaits, the moment dictated by my lawyer's wisdom. Secure a cozy apartment. Begin anew. She hesitated at the threshold.
What about you? Tell-me your truth.
Are you returning to Chicago? Absolutely. My life begins now, with Zachary.
Joy fill my heart.
I'm relieved. One of us must
be.
We embraced for a fleeting moment, filled with tension, before she walked away. It was not forgiveness, not yet, but it marked the start of something profound. In Chicago, I embraced life with Zachary, our brownstone, and a fulfilling career. 6 months post-funeral, I found out I was pregnant after years of longing. Joy mingled with sorrow, mother would never meet her grandchild. Yet, in the stillness, her spirit lingered. Stephanie and I exchanged tense, fleeting phone calls, each one heavy with unspoken words. She filed for divorce, moved into a small apartment, and found a job at a modest marketing firm. Face of harsh gossip and judgment in Boston, she stood resolute, ready to forge her true self anew. Wanted to walk this path, yet here I am. World crumbled, yet it sparked the dawn of something far greater. Bond that transcends love, its partnership, respect, and relentless support.
Strong a we rose together.
Gift we give ourselves, not others. And resentment faded, revealing my past in sharp focus and my future glowing with promise. The scars lingered, yet they lost their power over me. In the nursery, Zachary brushed soft green on the walls. I envisioned the lessons I would one day share with our child. Loss reveals hidden truths, endings carve out new beginnings, and the toughest times guide us to our deepest selves. 6 years ago, in the depths of despair, I never envisioned this life, richer, more authentic. The betrayal didn't break me, it ignited a fierce resolve to rebuild, wiser and more intentional than ever. Have you ever faced a heart-wrenching loss that ultimately guided you to something greater? Share your stories below. If this journey touched you, subscribe and pass it on to someone who needs to know that pain doesn't define their ending. Thank you for listening. Remember, the hardest chapters often pave the way for the most stunning conclusions. Share your thoughts, tap that like, and join us for more tales of strength and surprising gifts.